Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I've got another Pagani Design for you, but the question is, am I or am I not a bit of a Pagani Design fanboy? Well, as you can see, the answer is definitely yes. I am a Pagani Design fanboy, and Jody at Just One More Watch put me onto this brand, and as you can see, I have bought a handful plus of their watches. We got another one to show you today that I picked up on the latest Aliexpress end of summer sale. One of their 2021 models. You saw from the thumbnail that this is the Omega Seamaster Homage, but the question is it any good? Stay tuned. So today is an unbox and review, as I did not have a chance to do an unbox and reveal video this week. So we are doing the unbox and review all in one video today. But rest assured that I have spent some time with this watch, wearing it for a few days this week. So it's not as if I am reviewing the watch right out of the box. The watch we are looking at today, as I mentioned, is the homage to an Omega Seamaster, and today is a bit of a collaboration with my friend Simon from Watch the Time. The reason I say this is because just this past weekend he released a video of a similar homage watch to the Omega from a different company. Simon got the Philida one, and so I will link his video at the end of this video so that you can compare the two brands, and hopefully that will help you decide which brand to get if you are inclined to do so. And so here we have the watch, and I must say, for a homage watch, this is really quite good. I will throw up a shot of the real watch so you can get a sense of how well Pagani Design has done homaging the Seamaster. And so here is the Omega Seamaster that this watch is paying homage to. And you can see very clearly that the Pagani Design model is doing a good job of homaging that watch. One of the things that the Pagani does not have, that the Philida that Simon did review has, does not have the helium escape valve at the 10 o'clock. So again, here is the real watch, and you can see there's the helium escape valve at the 10 o'clock. This particular watch does not have the helium escape valve here, although the Philida watch does. Pagani Design didn't bother putting such a decoration on theirs, which I think is just fine, especially if it will serve no practical purpose other than to look like the original. So let's talk specs and features for a moment, shall we? Super Callie has measured this up, and she's a moody thing, so she doesn't even want to say hello today. Anyways, so we'll talk about the basic dimensions. You have a 42 millimeter case from the 8 o'clock to the 2 o'clock. You have a 46 millimeter width from the 9 o'clock to the end of the crown. You have a 49 millimeter lug tip to lug tip distance. It is 14 millimeters thick from the display case back to the crystal. And you have a 20 millimeter lug width at the bracelet at the lugs, which does taper down to 18 and then jumps back up to 20 mil at the clasp. So that's the basic specs. What else does this watch feature? Well, it has an automatic movement. This one features the Miyota 8215 automatic, which is the one that I had to get because the option to get the Seiko NH35 movement was not available for me at the time that I purchased the watch. But for some of you, you might be able to select the option to have the NH35A instead of the Miyota. I am satisfied with the movement. It's my first watch with a Miyota in the collection. The only thing that this movement does not do that the Seiko movement does do is hack the seconds hand so that you can set the watch more precisely, which is a big deal to some, but admittedly isn't really a big deal to me. I believe the Philida that Simon purchased also had the Miyota movement in his. One thing this Pagani does have that the Philida did not is the exhibition case back that you can see to show off the movement. You do have a sapphire crystal covering this dial, which is always preferred over a mineral crystal. You have a nice date window at the 6 o'clock. I'll zoom in so that you can see that. They do a nice job with this date window. It has a 6 o'clock location, which is the same as the original that this watch is paying homage to. And it is nicely done on the Pagani with a beveled frame. And here is what the Pagani Design looks like on my 7.5-inch wrist. And as you can see, this really is a really nice, beautiful looking watch. It is for sure. So let's talk about value for dollar spent, because in my opinion, Pagani Design is one of the best brands in this category. And this one certainly did not disappoint. This one is one of their 2021 models. And as such, it's easy to pick up on some of the improvements in quality that they have made over the past few years. And I'll start with this bracelet. The bracelet on this is absolutely wonderful. It really is. The finishing is good. The links do not get stuck to one another when you flex the bracelet. Some of their bracelets certainly do kind of get stuck in place. This one does not at all. The actual finishing on the bracelet has been much improved as well. On older models of Pagani's bracelets, they feel a little rough to touch, especially along the edges. They're a little bit sharp, and the underside of the bracelet is also, on some of the older models of the Pagani bracelets that I have, just a little bit rough to the touch on the underside. Not so with this bracelet. This one is butter smooth, and quite often with the older models, as I said, the edge of the bracelet would feel a little sharp to the touch, but not so with this bracelet. Everything has been machined properly, leaving you with a very comfortable, and I would say this is one of the most comfortable fitting bracelets that I now have in my collection. So this bracelet is a massive improvement from older models. The bezel as well, although it is only a 90-click bezel. Why? Why not make it 60 or 120 to conform to and align with the 60-minute and second markers on the watch? But nonetheless, the action on this bezel is tight. The clicks are distinctive. There is virtually no playback on this bezel, so there has been some real improvement on the quality and functionality of the bezels on their newer models as well. Let's talk about the crown, which is also much improved on this particular model of the watch. When I unthread and rethread this crown, there was an issue with past Paganis that I have purchased. On a couple, I have actually had to put some silicone oil on the threads so that it wasn't gritty and gritty feeling. But this one is also butter smooth. It unthreads very nicely and threads back in with absolutely no grit. It really is nice. And as I mentioned, I had to put some silicone oil on some of my older ones. And what I also found with some of the older Paganis is that because of the grit on the threads, when you retthreaded the crown, I often had to apply, as I was threading, a little bit of pressure toward the case just to make the threads on the crown as it's threading a little less gritty. With this one, you don't need to do that at all. You also, as I mentioned earlier, are getting 200 meters of water resistance as opposed to the standard 100 meters that are on older models, which to me isn't really that big of a deal since these are not really dive watches to begin with. They're dive style watches, and I would never test the depth of those ratings. If I was ever that far down in a body of water, I would quite frankly be dead. Sleeping with the fishes, as they say. We also need to talk about value for dollar spent. They listed this watch at one time at 185 Canadian dollars, but if you wait for the right time, you can get this watch much cheaper. I bought it at the end of summer sale, as I mentioned earlier, for 130 Canadian dollars, which is the equivalent to about 100 US dollars. And for $100, you are getting one heck of a good watch with fewer quality control issues than you would expect with some of the older Pagani Design models. By far, though, the biggest improvement on this new model is the Lume. The Lume on my older Paganis was an absolute waste of time and effort on their part to even put Lume on it, as it usually lasted only about 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. But take a look at this Lume on the Pagani that I'm holding. It actually holds up way better than the older versions do. Now, mind you, when we fast forward the video here in just a moment, you will see that by the time this reaches the 15-minute mark, it does fade out a little bit. Now, the iris on my camera, mind you, does not replicate the human eye, and so this really does have fairly decent lume. You can read the watch in the dark for a couple of hours. The only problem I have with the lume is the amount of visible space on the hour and the minute hand. The lume is reduced to the small triangles at the end of the hands, and I wish they would have filled in the gaps of the hour hand and the minute hand with some solid, filled them in and made them solid and applied lume to them so that it would be easier to read in the dark. The other issue is from time to time, this minute hand will actually overlap with the circular indices, at least every 5 minutes it will. And let me just unwind and you'll see what I mean. It can be actually a little bit tricky to locate the the minute hand when it is over one of the circular indices because it blends in. And so it is a little bit difficult to read the lume, and the triangles on the end of the hour hand and on the end of the minute hand do fade out, and it is a little bit trickier to read and find them after probably half an hour to 45 minutes, but it is doable. But it is still a much improved lume on this model than in previous Pagani designs. The only other thing that I wish was done on this particular watch was some anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal. Legibility of this particular dial, the gray wave dial, and you can see it's really nicely done. Applied indices as well around the dial. There is some legibility issues with this particular colorway of dial. Outside, the glare of the dial does and will pose problems reading the watch. And here I'll show you a wrist shot of outside, and you can see the bright glare in the middle of the watch, and sometimes that does fall on the hands of the watch, which will, in certain lighting conditions, make this one a little bit trickier to read. And the legibility, just is not the greatest with this colorway. Simon at Watch the Time got the white dial version of this Homage, the Philida white dial version, and his is far more legible than this gray dial version is. Beyond that, I think you are getting, once again, an incredible value for dollar spent on this Pagani Design Homage of the Omega Seamaster. I do recommend this watch for sure, and I would watch for in a couple of months' time during the 11/11 sale that Aliexpress does every year, November 11th. They will have a sale on this. It might very well be sub $100 US dollars at that time. And I, of course, will leave a link in the description of the video where you can buy this watch if you choose to do so. Thanks so much for checking the video out, guys. As you can see, we're up to 450 subscribers. Thank you so much, everyone, for subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned later on this week. I am going to be announcing my 500 subscriber giveaway details, and this is going to be a fantastic giveaway. I am going to be giving away one of my automatic watches, and I am also going to be giving away a gift certificate to a great watch company, as well as some accessories from another great watch company. You're going to want to stick around for that. It is going to be awesome. Once again, I want you to go check out Simon's video that he did of this Homage, the Philida version, and you can just kind of compare the two, the Pagani to the Philida, by watching his video. I will leave a link and you will find that here, right here. Okay, you can click on it right now and go ahead and check it out. It's absolutely a great video. Simon does great watch reviews, and if you haven't gone and subscribed to his channel, encourage you to do that too, and I'm sure he would appreciate the support. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, whenever you leave your house, make sure that you have a great looking piece to wear on your wrist, like this Pagani Design PD 1685 Homage 2 and Omega Seamaster. And make sure that wherever you're going, that you get there on time. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Check this video out here. Check that to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.